All right, welcome to Wise Up on Air. I'm Damian Kaspauer, product manager here at Audiokinetic. We got a great episode coming up for you today, so sit tight and get ready. Jumping right into it, we're here today to talk audio systems of lost records, bloom and rage. This is going to be a great conversation with Beatrix Moersch. So stick around for that. While we're here, let's talk about some news here at Audiokinetic. It's our 25th anniversary, 25 years of Audiokinetic, and a ton of Wise out there making games sound great. We hosted a expo to celebrate the 25th anniversary and the release of Wise 2025.1. Sat down with a bunch of the leads here at Audiokinetic, developers of Wise for the past, some of them here for over 20 years. And just really had a cool conversation about the past, present, and future of Wise. So turn back time, jump back into that live stream. It was a great discussion, surfacing some of the history of Wise and talking about where things are headed. And that said, we also premiered the Wise 2025.1 at a glance video. So this is a short 10-minute video that takes each of the features of 25.1 and showcases it. And that adds to the other resources that we have out there for 25.1, including our What's New, which goes high level into the features across user experience, spatial audio, integrations, and our sound engine. Meanwhile, we've been out there talking about these features on previous Wise Up on Air hands-on live streams, doing deep dives in the beta when it first came out last summer, our media pool and similar sound search features, as well as our whole dynamic mixing story around the new sidechaining features, multiband dynamics, and that parametric EQ graph. We went hands and ears on with the new dual shelf filter and acoustics and some of the new stuff that is there for the game object 3D viewer visibility. And we brought folks from the integrations team to talk through the new features in our Unreal and Unity integrations, like the Wise browser that is now standardized across both Unity and Unreal, as well as the arrival of our dynamic dialogue feature, a sixth way of switching or setting runtime variables for scheduling of sounds in real time. Great hands-on with that feature and the integrations team. But we've added some new things here in the latest patch release of Wise 2025.1.6. We added support for meta haptics with the new haptic clip player plugin. And so this is a way for you to author complex or simple haptics using the tools that Meta has provided and bring those clips directly into Wise to be used as part of your motion or haptics pipeline. Cool stuff, bringing greater accessibility and precision, as well as enabling that for Meta devices. So dig into that in the latest point release of 25.1. Additionally, if you've been here, you know I've been talking about the return of the fader, which was part of the full release. Well, we're going to continue that story. We started with bringing the fader back for folks who had used it in the past as a option for both the voice volume and bus volume. So you could decide whether you wanted that fader right there in the new property editor or not. And excited to say that as part of the 25.1.6 release, we've also added that to makeup gains. So if you're out there working with HDR audio in Wwise and you love having that makeup gain as a fader within Reach, you can now toggle that on and get that visual definition back for the parts of the user interface that you reach for. Another thing we added is support for the 4.0.4 channel configuration for audio buses, Soundseed Grain, and Reflect. This gives you, 4 height and 4 horizontal speakers as a configuration. This is something that we've heard from folks leaning into for different ambient background needs, as well as other aspects of their pipeline. So grab that and flex it in your workflows, see if it makes sense with the experiences you're creating, and ultimately keep making great sounds. Tune in to our Audiokinetic blog. There's been a ton of great stuff coming from the community talking about the Reaper to Wwise pipeline that Mark Hasselbach put in place. Other aspects of music, dynamic audio for 2D games, just a ton of great stuff coming from the community to help you get a clearer picture on the ways that developers are using Wwise across different titles. And if you're interested, we've got some upcoming workshops. One that is tomorrow is the interactive music with Wwise advanced techniques for gameplay integration. So if that's something you've been on the fence about, it's tomorrow. Jump over and get registered right away so that you can participate in that. And then in April, we've got a dynamic mixing with Wwise. So if you've been, seeing some of these new features of dynamic mixing come down the pipeline, like our new sidechain object, or the ability to add that side chaining to the compressor, expander, and parametric EQ, the dynamic mixing workshop is for you. So if that's something that would help fuel your development, get registered and wise up. Strata. Let's talk about Strata, the multi-track collections and sample libraries. We've added 2 new collections for the Armory, Pistols 1 and 2. Handy stuff to have in the background. And if you hadn't dug deep into Strata yet, Strata is a multi-track library available as Reaper projects and sub-projects. You can dig into all the layers, check out the way that effects are being used with the Enrage plugin, as well as the Wwise plugins in VST format. We've got integrations, of course, with other sound libraries, a bunch of partners that have come online over the last years of Strata, subscription options that are affordable and scalable across your team. That academic license, probably the closest you can get to, the way of understanding sound design from its granular components within a multi-tracked project. And yeah, just a ton of great collections out there to help serve your game's needs. And speaking of that, we've got 4 free samples that you can get licensed and download right now. You can use those in any game. The license allows for use of them in your projects. So jump in, take a listen. I'm especially keen on that physics sample just to give you an idea of like how deep a sample library can go towards providing what games really need to add diversity and randomization to those workflows. And we've been out there in the community. Let's talk about GDC. Just back in the last week, after another fantastic year connecting with the game industry and audio community on the ground in San Francisco. If I saw you there, it's great to have you and great to see you there. Every morning, I loved rounding up as part of the audio community morning meetup, talking about what was happening at the conference, getting more out of the experience by leveraging other people's insights, what they learned, and how they navigated the conference. We've been sharing those as part of the Game Audio podcast, and we'll continue to surface those to the wider community that wasn't able to be there on the ground, so that you can, from the comfort of your home, tune in and hear what was happening on the ground at GDC this year. We hosted a karaoke. Oh, it was awesome. There are few joys greater than having the community come together in song together. And it's just a joy to be able to participate in that. And wow, some incredible voices in the community. We also hosted 2 days of presentations at the theater across the street from the conference. 2 days of incredibly, gracious presenters who shared their experience talking about early pre-production for audio from the folks at Skywalker Sound, co-developing an experience that fundamentally leverages dynamic sound and dynamic audio. Great talks from the Civ 7 folks, an immersive audio talk that lent some best practices, and then a great improvisational behind the scenes on music production. The second day was special because we had Cairn up on the big screen and big speakers, and we did a let's play with developer Martin Stig Anderson and Alistair Hurst in conversation. Just fantastic to see that up on the big screen, really soak in the great sounding experience of this kind of ambient climbing game. It will go down as one of my favorite presentations at the conference. And then we rolled into a couple of panels on haptics, as well as on, what's next, the future of development today and tomorrow, with a couple of great panels of folks. Capped off by a presentation of the Sounds of Dreamers documentary, still working to find its way into the public, but again in a closed screening at GDC. It was a fantastic way to spend 2 days running parallel to the conference, free for anyone to attend, and really just allowed people to make choices about where to put their time and what they found value in during that conference. So if I saw you there again, great to have you as part of that, and thanks for being a part of the game audio community. It was fantastic. 20th year of GDC for me, so definitely landing sweet with a milestone there. And speaking of community, I want to shine a spotlight on some of the cool things coming out of the community these days. And, I'm always stunned by the things that I learn from folks who are bringing forward their experience with Wwise out there in the world. First off, we've got Reese Anthony, who's been doing this series of shorts on the features of 2025.1. So if you're looking for little bite-sized nuggets that give you a clear overview of some of the things we put in the box, I can't say enough good things about the way Reese has framed these. Thanks so much for putting the time in to bring clarity to these features for the community. Meanwhile, Paul has put together a long form on Crankcase Rev, a vehicle audio exploration. So if you've ever been wondering, what goes into the design of race cars, everything from engines and tires to ambience and wind, Paul's done a great job of framing that and giving you a clear perspective of the value that Crankcase Rev can bring to your vehicle pipeline. We've also got a new tool from Thomas Fritz out there, the Wwise Stem Recorder, put in place to allow for sound across buses in Wwise to be directly communicated to audio files in a DAW, also passed directly to VSTs. So offering a way for folks who are trying to, look at subsections of their mix, zoom in, and sometimes measure loudness across different areas. The Wwise Stem Recorder seems to be a project that is gaining ground and giving that extra visibility. So thanks, Thomas, for surfacing that. And this last one was just super fun. Sophia McCann has got a Tetris interactive music redesign. There's a couple of links here for you. One that just gives a kind of snapshot of the game and the music and how it's working. But then also going deeper in a second video talking about, decisions that were made and talking through the process of interacting with the music from a gameplay standpoint. So just a ton of great knowledge in here, picking apart the little pieces of interactive music in a way that, really landed in a delightful way. So thanks to the community out there who continue to share and surface these things for folks. And that leads me to today's live stream. I'm so glad to have as part of this Beatrix Moersch. But before I put you on the screen, I'm putting this on the screen. This was the early Wise Up on Air that we did in 2019 together. And with that introduction, I will say hello. So,
hi, it's good to be back.
Well, and it is a beautiful thing to have that kind of through line with you on Wise Up on Air, stretching all the way back to the early days. Good to see you again.
Thank you, likewise.
Okay, so let's catch people up from that early live stream where you went hands-on with a sound design toy box. We did a deep interview as well, but bring us up to speed with where you're at today. What are you up to, and what's happening?
Okay, well, the year after we did that, I actually moved from Behavior Interactive over to Don't Nod Montreal. I'm the audio lead there. And so I was leading the production and release of Bloom and Rage, Lost Records Bloom and Rage, which we released in February of last year, which was super exciting. I'm just about hitting my 4-year anniversary of working for Don't Nod Montreal, which is pretty exciting. And that's the game I'm going to be talking about today, obviously. Just breaking down some of the back-end audio features and the ways that we worked on that production, some of the unique elements of that particular project, which are close to my heart.
Oh, yeah, and I remember having a privileged access to it a few years ago when I visited Montreal and swung by the studio. It's been so cool to see that evolve in time and now be released out there in the world for folks to experience. And you've been out there talking about it. I know that you guested with the rest of the audio folks on the Audio Logs live
Yeah.
stream and podcast.
Yeah, I talked about a lot of the features on this game on that podcast as well. And of course, I did a little talk about the specifically the examine object feature of the game at MIGS as well. There's a
Yeah,
video of that. It hasn't been released yet, but it's ready to go. So it's just about talking to the right people to get it out onto YouTube.
cool. And again, like, thanks so much for like sharing so much of this story around. I think it's so great to be able to see it from different perspectives. And I know we're going to go hands on with a lot of these features today across Wise, the game, and Reaper, just looking at different how these different pieces pull together to create the experience that is Bloom and Rage. So excited to jump into that. Before we get going, folks out there in the chat, feed us with any questions that you have along the way, and we'll try to find a way to weave them in and surface them at the right moment, or circle back towards the end. As always, it's great to have you out there playing along as we are finding our way through this live stream. So cheers. What do you think? Ready to
Yeah,
go?
let's jump in.
Okay,
Definitely.
cool. What's
So I
first?
thought to start, I wanted to just demonstrate one of the neater features in our project, which is the camcorder feature. So a quick breakdown. You're playing in this game in the past and the present. So in the present, you're remembering the past. You're having a conversation about what happened in the past being 1995, and the present being 2022. And so in the past, your character is 16 and you have a camcorder that you are always carrying with you. And you have the freedom to record really whatever you want in the game while you're in the past. And it's a neat feature. So I wanted to kind of demonstrate the feature and then talk a little bit about how we integrated the audio elements of that. So let me unmute my game and just jump right in.
Let's go.
I'm just going to skip the cinematics. That's okay.
Yeah, debug.
Okay, so here we are running around. We got our local video rental store. Your main character is just obsessed with making films and watching films, and here's her camcorder. So these pink outlined objectives, there's lots of them. You can choose 5 and you can really capture some video. You can hear the futzing that happens when we have the camcorder open. It futzes sort of the local environmental sounds.
Trash to some, treasure to others.
And then the ones that have the white borders are
Could
optional
take more shots to choose from
collectible objectives.
for the edit.
Oh, get this one.
Creepy clown.
I saw that movie.
Okay,
It
one
wasn't
more.
even that scary.
Oh. Let's zoom out. All right.
Is the scooper still open?
So now I can go into my menu, and this is the set of clips that I just captured.
Jeez. Dad and I used to spend practically every weekend at the movie palace. It was so much fun just wandering around the aisles, picking out tapes, choosing our next adventure. I think That's why I love movies so much. You showed me that each one was a new world, just waiting to be discovered.
So excuse my awkward camera movements there. I was just trying to really clearly demonstrate that the video that you capture in the game is the video that gets used in these little clips, these memoirs. And you can actually edit them yourself too. So you can grab one of the clips that you recorded and you can reorder and replace it, even record other things. There's a lot more than just the 5 I captured, so you really get to have a little creative input on how these clips get created. And there's lots of memoirs that you collect throughout the game.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's the feature.
Hits right in the feels too. Like again, this is a game that has emotions running as a thread through it, and so much nostalgia baked into
Yes.
that process of capturing and editing, and the futzing that you mentioned, as well as all of
The nostalgia is a
filters.
huge touchstone for the project, for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of exploration opportunities, and it's really about that, just sort of like re-enveloping yourself in small town, in this case, small town Missouri, 1995, and
Yeah.
and getting to play with old tech like that, for sure.
Amazing. I love how that all kind of pulls together as part of, in all of the aspects, not just the visuals and the storytelling, but the way that you're supporting that through your choice of effects, through your choice of sound design elements. I think it's really well executed end to end, right? Comes
thank you.
across. Cool.
So jumping into Wwise, I just wanted to show a little bit of how we set up that feature in the back end. Because the video you see, it's the video you capture. So when you're capturing the video, you're capturing the audio as well. And you're capturing the futzing. It's all really burned into video files. So of course it was important to capture what we want and not what we don't want. We don't want the servo sounds of the camera zoom, things like that. Obviously, we don't want any non-diegetic stuff like UI sounds. And what we also noticed early in development is that certain sounds like reverb were getting overemphasized in the playback and Foley as well. So the way we have this all set up is, first of all, outside of our whole actor mixer hierarchy, we have this little camcorder recorder aux. And that aux, it doesn't have anything going on really. It's silenced. It's only there to capture that camcorder audio. So we have this custom Don't Nod Entertainment. This was created by the Paris Head Studio. It's part of our kit, and it just records the incoming audio. I think we're using Wwise input for this.
Yeah.
And so what are we sending to this? We're not just sending our master diegetic. We've got a little bit of customization in there. So for example, I mentioned that we have past VO and present VO. Those are not distinct. There's a lot of moments in the past where you're running around and you find something and you get this VO, this voiceover happening where the you in the present is kind of live talking about what you just saw in the past or what you're seeing in the past. So we wanted to make sure we didn't capture that, of course. So we actually take this past diegetic past VO right here, and we send that to the camcorder. So we have it like that. We kind of have it broken down. All of our diegetic SFX gets sent. Our diegetic music gets sent. Foley, etc. So you can see our Foley has dropped volume there a little bit. The reverb has dropped volume, and that just helps sort of customize the mix a little bit for those videos. And then the other element of that, of course, is the futzing. So we have a bunch of customized MacDSP futzbox share sets that are working well for different elements. So Ambience, for example, has a little bit less low end. There's a bit of a boost in the VO. I think that would be actually the VO is broken down even further because we have a custom setting for Swan. This is her codename Spring. So we have different settings for Swan than for the other characters because she's the main character. We actually have an RTPC on her futzbox. I'll show that. Can you see that?
No. It's there it is. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. Woo!
And this is just because there are different elements. Like there's a scene where she's talking to the camera. The camera's like set up on a desk and she's standing in front of the camera. So we're going to have a full futz there. But when she's holding the camera and she's kind of behind the camera, we balance that out a little bit.
Oh, nice.
So that's really it. Like it's pretty simple, but it took a little bit of creative thinking to get it all working right. And then of course the last element is that when you see the memoir, there's a voiceover on the memoir because Swan has edited together this little video and has some thoughts on it. And so that's sitting here on her actor mixer hierarchy specifically for all of those memoir VOs. And that's how that is set up. It's pretty
Wow.
simple, but I thought it was kind of a fun feature, so I wanted to start there.
Yeah, and again, you say simple, we're looking at the finished product that shipped in the game. Like, did you have a lot of iteration that you needed to do to get there? Like, again, it looks like from here you had all of the pieces that you needed to be able to shape the sound the way that you wanted. What was that process like?
Once the core concept was figured out, like pretty early in production, we were like, okay, this is how we're going to do the tech side of it.
Yeah.
After that, it was really just breaking down the share set. So first,
Yeah.
we had one big share set for everyone. Then, like I said, Foley was hitting really hot. Ambiences were getting a little woofy.
Yeah.
So then it was just about like moving down the hierarchy, creating some new custom share sets, and just getting that mix balance nice.
Amazing, amazing. And you said, this was a feature that was like right up front as part of development. Like
Yeah.
there was no question this was going to happen. And so that must have helped prioritize the need for that custom plugin that you created.
Oh, so we didn't actually have to create that plugin.
Ah,
That was developed for a previous project. I couldn't
ah,
even tell you which one.
yeah.
We're using some of some of the tools, some of the custom tools from Don't Not Entertainment, which is
Oh,
our Paris head
nice.
office.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the items that they already had in their kit. So it
Oh,
was sort of ready to
sick.
go for us. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, that makes it even easier. I
Yeah.
think still this idea that as a core feature of the game, unique, you knew that it needed to have, a level of involvement in order to tightly couple it to the audio in a way that really pays off. So nice to see that all come together. And yeah, the result is just fantastic. Works great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really happy. I mean, we are all really happy with it. It feels very real. One of the sort of aesthetic key points of the past is almost like super real, like
Mm.
taking it beyond the mundanity of the regular world and adding sort of that rose-colored glasses sparkle of a
Hmm.
positive memory. And so that's what we're
Ah,
aiming for sure. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now, is there, how does that, I definitely heard panning as we were moving through. So you're capturing all of that. How does that work when you're, moving between different outputs? You got speakers, headphones, 3D audio. Is that all just kind of fall into place with how people are listening and experiencing the game?
When you capture, definitely. I'm pretty sure I have to go back and check to make sure, but I'm pretty sure the playback of the memoirs is mono.
Got it, got it.
Yeah, so it's like you're there in the space recording, but then when you watch the video, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, which is again kind of a nostalgic throwback to a channel configuration of the past.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
I'll lean into that. Yeah. Nice. Oh, fantastic. Thanks for talking us through that.
For sure.
Uh, uh,
Next up is like a totally different subject, a little bit more involved, but I wanted to get a little bit into the music of the game because
yeah.
it's very important to the game. Obviously, because the characters get together and they create a little garage band, so that element is very important. There's some interactive elements as well that I'm gonna show. First of all, though, I wanted to show a little bit breakdown of the process that we used for the score. So a little bit a-traditional or a non-traditional is that we didn't hire a video game composer or even a composer to do the score. We actually hired a couple of musical artists who had little to no video game experience. And that was Ruth Radley and Milk and Bone. And so we worked with them in sort of a non-conventional way that I think worked really well for the project, which is that we gave them descriptions of what we wanted, sort of example scenes, example scenarios, mood, vibe, aesthetic, all of that. And then they came back with music and we would iterate together on that, give them feedback. And then once we approved the track, we received a linear piece of music and stems. And we had the ability, we had the right to rearrange, remix, re-cue, re-edit, combine, subtract, sort of all the creative things. So then we were able to work with those stems to create all the music that we needed for the game, which was a very cool creative exercise. So I wanted to just give a little bit of a visual on what that looked like.
Cool. Let's dig in.
So first I'll show some Reaper sessions, caveat being that we can't stream audio from Reaper, it doesn't work, but I'm going to jump right over to Wise and we can listen to what this sounds like once it's in Wise. So just let me pop my share over here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this idea of, as a music designer, which is the role that you're playing, having the parts of the music at your fingertips in a way that you can, make choices based on the gameplay is a smart way to move forward.
It's very it's creatively satisfying for sure. And like what I would really do, I'm going to break this down a little bit more in a second, but it was really enjoyable to me because I guess my personal creative brief in the music was to create a score that felt cinematic, that didn't feel like loopy, it didn't feel reactive. It really just felt like very natural to the progression of the story, even when the player was very much controlling the timing.
Yeah.
So quick look. So the first thing we did every time we got a new track and stems delivered, we would pop those into a source session, which we didn't edit. This was just a session that any audio work, any sound designer could grab the session and then pull music out of, pull stems out of. This is just an easier way to work, I found, than just having the WAV files. So, here we have liminal spaces, which is one of the Milk and Bone tracks that we worked with. And then what's this? So the first thing I would usually do is I would create a scratch pad version of the source session where I can start muting and sort of listening to individual stems. And then if I'm editing things out just to try things out, I don't accidentally mess up that source session. And that just gives me a first chance to think about like which stems I want to work with, which combinations might sound good together. And then, like I said, the next thing that I would do is I would actually capture. So you can't hear it, but you can see it. This is obviously very early. I'm going to mute this so I don't hear it either. The animations are a little wonky and stuff. This is where the scene was at when we started working on the music for this scene. And so I just did a playthrough as naturally as I could, really playing, in a typical way that a player might play through this scene in the first time they encounter it. And then after I captured that, I would lay it out on my timeline and I would bring in usually the whole set of stems from the source session, and then I'd start editing it and cutting it down and basically creating what felt to me to be a really nice, natural soundtrack, as if it was a short film, really making a linear soundtrack that really supports this particular playthrough. At this point, not worrying whatsoever about trying to make it dynamic or where it needs to loop or anything, just so that this is like my creative intention.
And I'm thinking of it almost like a digestion process. You're getting to know the tracks, you're getting to know the emotions and how you can surface them at different parts. Yeah. Great technique.
Yeah, exactly. It's creative exploration as well. And when I'm done that process, or that part of the process, that's what I'm left with, is I'm left with this linear edit that works with that particular playthrough. And then the next thing I do then is I start identifying the moments I need to anticipate that are going to be requiring special transitions or loops or branching or things like that. And that's what these markers up here are for. So this one up here, what's your name pause? That's because this chunk right here is a cinematic. And then at some point, the other characters like look at you and they say, "So what's your name?" And then you get to choose how to answer that. And it's not an endless loop. The game really relies on silence being an option as part of the narrative arc. So you have there's like a minimum and a maximum amount of time that this moment could take. And so I account for that here. And then this next marker is the moment that you choose. You choose how to respond. So then the music shifts again. And then there's a loop of no, I'm trying to think of how the scene goes. No, I think what happens is it goes back into cinematic, and then we leave the past and go back into the present and have a little conversation about that moment. And so that's the breakdown. And then I start creating my assets. So that's I really try to save new versions of the session. Like if you look at,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see my Explorer here. No way.
Not this time. Maybe if it was docked.
Let me just adjust my share here for
Sure.
that, because I think that's interesting to see.
Yeah.
I really do save as. So I do my edit and then I save my assets, or like I make a new
Great.
version of the session so I can start breaking down my assets, and then I do that in chunks, and then I go back and I do a new edit session. And this is just a way that I find is useful to, first of all, to go backwards. Like if you make a mistake or if timings change in the cinematic or something, it's really easy to go back to the right place in your edit without accidentally overwriting work that you might need later. So
Nice.
so here's the first section. This is the linear cinematic moment that goes up to that moment where you're asked the question, and then here I create a set of loops that play while you're thinking about how to answer that question, and then over here you're seeing what happens after that. And I'll pop right over to Wise so you can actually hear it and kind of see how it works in an interactive format.
Yeah, it's so good to see the process that you take in order to get to the results.
Yeah, absolutely. It's neat to see the breakdown.
Totally.
A little background on this scene, by the way. This is S1500 is what our sort of internal name for this scene is. And it uses two different pieces of music that we move back and forth. As we move back and forth between the past and the present, we move back and forth between these two pieces of music. One of them is liminal spaces, and the other one it's called Friends Theme in production, but it was renamed for release, so it's called Dreamers now. That's a Ruth Radley track. So this is the section that I just showed the edit of. Let's jump over to music edit, and I'll play it so you can kind of see how it works.
Great.
So start with the intro. So this is just the cinematic. And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly how long it lasts, but if I put a little pin in this, we can take a look. So this is linear. It builds up over time. And then there's a moment where you can start to answer a question that they ask. I think we're a little ways out from that still, but when that happens, it depends where you are in the loop, but it very naturally lets one of those last bell chords ring out. And then either the music continues right away if you answer quickly, or there's this hovering moment where the music stops and all eyes are on you. And the main character she's shy and she's nervous and she's an introvert. And so it really kind of highlights that tense moment where suddenly all the attention is turned to you and you have to introduce yourself.
Amazing. And so those
cinematic, but
are those custom cues then where your transitions can naturally exit from?
I believe so. It's
Yeah.
been like over 2 years since I put this one together, but I think that's the case.
That
Yeah.
makes sense to me. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah. So you have these
Okay, so
musical
there is now it's
moments
just
where it makes sense.
hovering, and now you can kind of, it's like, all right, how am I gonna, and then you answer, and you say, okay, my name is Swan. And now the music starts to come back and build up. Attention gets away from you, and you get to continue this conversation that can last quite a while. There's a lot of branching in this scene where you can think about who you ask questions with and who you're developing your relationships with first of the 3 other girls that you met on this day. And eventually the conversation ends and it's time to start looking for the object that you need to find in this scene that progresses the story plot. And at that point, select bar, and then basically the last chord plays, and then we've transitioned back into the present, which is probably going to be this one right now. And then we're just going into silence very gently. And there's never any there's no score in the present. So that's one of the ways that we really wanted to distinguish that nostalgic rose-colored glasses memory of the past and sort of this cold reality of the present. So there's no score in the present. We only hear the score, the soundtrack when we're in the past. So
Wow. Yeah, that's a strong choice. And you said it so clearly. The other aspect of that I know we'll get to is that in the present you still have that you still have the band gameplay mechanic, right? So you do
well,
have
so the band gameplay mechanic is also in the past.
Oh,
right? Because you have that garage band
yeah.
in 1995, and then
Okay,
you're just
okay.
remembering all of this in the present. Yeah.
Okay.
So there
Okay.
is a point near the end where we break this rule, but I'm not going to.
Nope.
Not
Okay.
gonna,
Okay.
not going to talk about
But maybe the important thing there is like strong decisions, clear rules,
Yeah.
for reasons, and the ability to break those rules when you need to. That's just a great message.
Yeah, it felt like a really good way to support the story because it is so much about re-remembering the past and that the difference between the world of 1995 and the present,
Yeah.
even like the way that we interacted with that world and with people in it and yeah, so
Totally. I still remember the
um
bag full of cassette tapes I used to carry on my skateboard with my Walkman.
yeah, for sure. And that's part of that past in our game. There are mixtapes and
Yeah.
there's some very cool music selections and music is a huge part of the
Yeah.
characters' lives. So yeah.
Cool.
And on that note, I guess I can jump right into the interactive, the diegetic music element
Yeah.
of the game.
Okay.
Let me think. What would be the best? Probably I can do it the same way. I'll just jump into the game and play a chunk of that scene and kind of talk about we're doing there.
Yeah, that's gonna be
So
awesome.
let's do that. Okay, I'm
And
gonna
it
share.
was one of those sequences that you showed me that time I visited that was really special. You could tell from early days that this was going to be a big part of the spirit of it, and so compelling. Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to use debug to get there.
Yeah, do it.
Let's see. How am I least likely to break the game? This should work. It didn't work.
We'll get there together.
Oh yeah, no, it didn't want to do that for me. Okay, I'm gonna jump in here. This is the scene we just talked about, by the way. That's the cinematic. Maybe I can go right from here. I think I'm gonna have to go to the first
Did it go
scene.
this way?
That it's not gonna let me jump into the middle of the scene. Oh, it's not letting me. That's not fun. Oh, I think I know why. I think it's because I'm playing in collectible mode.
Right.
Let's try this.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for that.
That's okay. I won't lie, it's fun to watch you navigate the debug menus.
And we're back. Skip the cinematic. Okay, and here's the moment where you need to answer. Okay. Now let's see. Yes. Okay, well, there's a fun fact here. So, of course, we recorded the Nora Kelly's band to do the punk song. That is the song that these characters create together. We spent a whole day recording all kinds of different things along with the song. So this is them practicing. This is actually real audio of the band. You can hear tiny little voices in the background. That's them. That's
Great.
I really wanted to get that garage band feel, so I got a lot of footage of them just fiddling and tuning and messing around with their instruments and things like that. So let's dive in.
Hello? It's Swan.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna show.
Hey! She actually showed. Welcome! See? Told you.
Yeah. You didn't miss much, Swan. We're just messing around.
Come in! Dude, what was that band you were talking about again?
So I'm gonna
Wanna
connect
write it
the
down?
game and mute the
They're pretty
VO.
new, I think.
Okay.
I was so nervous. Really? Why? I thought.
So we can talk about what's going on without a lot of dialogue. Okay, we still have reverb, but you know. Okay, I'm gonna kill the reverb.
That's awesome.
All right. So we still have a little bit of cinematic and then we get to start walking around and I just wanted to talk about, I'm going to set it up. So one of the things that we did that was kind of fun is that we had all of this really natural sounding guitar mess around stuff that was happening in the recording session with Nora Kelly's band. And so we wanted to use that, you know, these natural sounding guitar fiddles, they're messing around with their instruments like that in the garage while they're chatting. And so then we needed to sync animation to the guitar, you know, where often you're doing it the other way around in development. But because we wanted to keep that natural sound, we went the other way around. And so, you know, we've got Nora doing stuff over here. And we have a lot of different samples. So I'm going to share Wwise real quick to show how we did that.
Great.
Okay. So let me find those. And we have them in SFX. Let's see, probably in gameplay. And
Beautiful naming standards.
except that I lost them. Where are they? Same thing happened to me when I was setting up for this. Where are they? Oh, what a pain. And beat two. I'm just gonna find them.
Yeah.
Guitars. Probably this is no, that's an RTPC. Good, here we go. Nope.
That's the
Oh,
archive
okay.
version.
I know, right?
Yep. We added a
Here we
Project
go.
Explorer filter in more recent versions of Wwise that allows you to filter the Project Explorer and focus right at the
Oh, very nice.
objects you're looking for. So look for that feature in your workflow soon.
So here's how we did it. Can you see
Yeah,
that?
totally.
Yeah. So we have all these different samples of the guitar. They play randomly. We really have Wwise controlling the randomization of this. And then what they're doing is they're feeding these markers or cues, markers. I can't remember what these are called.
Markers, yeah.
Yeah, markers. They're feeding these to the animation system, and so we came up with this code that tells us what's going on. So I think this is a slide.
Yep.
I think we had like a intensity 1, 2, 3. So this 3 is like probably a big slide, and then we had I can't remember what the T stands for, but the U is up. It's not pluck.
Yep.
So what's
Touch up or tune up or
I don't remember.
tweak
But
up. Yeah.
Anyway, it tells the animation system exactly
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Great. So these
That's
markers
pretty
go
cool.
off to the animation system. The animation system receives it, and then it knows how to move the model in synchronicity.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, so we had systems for the left hand and the right hand. So the left hand has 3 possible positions on the neck of the guitar, and then the right hand can either be a strum, a pluck, or maybe a strum and pluck. I wish I could remember what the T stands for. And then the D is down or up, so we know if she's doing this or she's doing that.
Got it.
And it took a little bit of iteration, a little bit of back and forth, but it works really well now. So we can really clearly see that no matter what random thing Nora is doing, because she's always messing around with her guitar, it looks natural in the animation. So we're pretty excited about that.
And that's a great example of audio driving the game.
Yes.
And I think we're always looking for ways that we can carry back what audio is doing and bring that synchronicity that's driven by the audio that you have, right? Because it's so often the opposite.
I'm always pushing for it.
Yeah.
I think it leads to really natural moments because it's
Yeah.
not so scripted. Audio can be very organic. So whenever I can push that, especially if it's early enough in development for a feature like that to get scoped, I'm really excited about it.
Nice.
Oh, did I mute the game? I think I did. Yes. Go back. Yeah, so we're here. You have to do a few things. I think I can jump forward to talk about the feature I actually wanted to show. Yes, so we get comfy, we hang out, and then we go back to the present and back to the past. I'm gonna jump right after that. And here to let this dialogue move forward. I will unmute the VO so we can kind of see what's going on.
Drums.
Swan?
Do it. Come here. I'll show you how it works.
So you're gonna get to use the drum machine to
Awesome.
participate in the garage band.
Catherine, our biggest fan.
That doesn't even rhyme.
R-T-I'm doesn't like my rhyme.
Yes, now we go back to the present. We talk about what happened.
Oh God.
Very quick
That
though.
was so
That's
awkward.
funny. I do remember thinking you seem nervous. Whoa. Looks like it's still in one piece. How about you?
Sorry. I space out sometimes.
It's okay. Skateboarder's wisdom. Never land on your wrists.
Makes sense. Don't worry, Swan.
I want to see you skateboard on him. I bet you look so cool.
Really? Well, I can show you some tricks sometime.
So, are you guys gonna play or what?
Yeah, you ready? I'm ready.
Okay, so here's the drum
You have to start
machine.
the beat first. Use the
Nice.
switch on the upper right. It's easy. So you got your instruments in the middle.
I'm gonna mute the
first is the
VO
kick,
again,
the snare is second, and the third.
so I can just talk about the drum machine feature. Can you see it?
I
Okay,
think when you tab over to Wise,
Right, when
it
I tab over.
swaps
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So that's a fun thing as well. Like you're hearing Nora in the background with her guitar. She's kind of jamming to what the drum machine is doing it. And that was in itself tricky to integrate in Wise to make sure that she's actually synced up with the beat. So what happens basically in the scene is you select your custom drum machine settings, and then you tell the band you're happy with your choices, and then they start playing. They play in a loop and you can film them. And then after you film them for a while, you tell them you're done filming, and it goes into a cinematic where they play a little bit of the song in a cinematic format. And all of that is inside of the drum machine hierarchy. Because it was the only way to really guarantee sync through all of this stuff. So the drum machine hierarchy is super deep.
Amazing.
Let's
And
take a
it's-
quick look at it.
And it's driving all that stuff. Yeah.
It is, yeah. And so there's 4 sample banks, and you can really choose. There's 4 kick patterns. There's 4 snares, 4 toms, 4 hi-hats. You can hear nothing, right? So you have to select at a minimum, I think, 2 of the 4 instruments, but you can actually have a very minimal beat if you want to. They don't make you choose one of everything, or we don't. So it was really an interesting, there was a lot of iteration on the drum machine because we were trying to find a balance between people who are familiar with drum machines and, creating sample-based beats, and people who have never seen one of these before in their lives. It had to be intuitive and interesting for both extremes of person. And then also what's interesting about this moment is that this is not like a one shot. The pattern and sample bank you choose here is what will be performed at the end of this first episode. It's a story in 2 parts. At the end of episode 1, you do a performance as your band, and the choices you make now that is what you're going to hear in the
Amazing.
performance. So we had to give a lot of creative freedom while still maintaining a narrow enough set of possibilities that no matter what you choose, it doesn't sound like really out there in the performance, right?
Sure. And
It still had to work.
I just want to say Don't Nod is famous for these kind of scenarios where the decisions that you make play through. And again, reaching all the way down to these drum machine patterns, that feels like something that has been prioritized by the studio. And, as complex as this sounds, it was priority for the game and for the games that Don't Nod makes, for this to be to be there and work in this way. I just think that that's so cool.
It's so important that you as a player have an impact on the story. Otherwise, why are you there? And you're not a musician, but this is how you get to participate in the garage band. And so I feel like it makes sense that the choices you make here, this is the song as it will play.
Totally.
So let's try it out.
Yep.
Let's make some music. There's, again, we sort of had, I can't remember exactly what was it. It was like basic, complex, jungle, and samba, I think, were sort of the creative brief for each of these 4 possible beats. And then we have this wild sound here. So this has no impact whatsoever. So you can kind of have a little fun with it. And it changes with the sample bank, so.
Amazing.
One of these is me. That's my voice.
Love it.
Yeah. So when you've selected what you want to hear, maybe you don't even want toms, whichever. Let's see. finish up. So once you've made your decision, right, it's very in sync. So it's very important that they match the beat. So now they're kind of playing this loop. And I want to say something about this too, so I'm gonna mute the game a little bit for clarity. So they're playing an endless loop here, and this is, you could say, an early version of the song that they perform at the end of this first episode. You know, they developed that song together. There's also lyric choices that you make, so you have some impact on the lyric that they're eventually going to be singing along to this song. But it was important for us that this is not the same set of assets that you're hearing in that final performance after a whole summer of developing this into a song. So one of the things that we did with the band is we had them, after we had like all the takes we wanted, we had a really clear, like, final perfect song recorded. We had them play the song poorly, which is a fun creative exercise for musicians to be like, no, make it worse. Okay, detune a little, you know, work on your timing. It needs to be worse, you know, and just recording each instrumentalist independently and just getting them to do a really mediocre, you know, because it can't be so bad that it's funny, but it has to sell that this is a teenager garage band and this is a song that's not done, that they're just sort of kind of working their way through right now.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that's what you hear here.
Great attention to detail, and you're right. It's not often that you ask people to channel that early experience. Yeah. Cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And this isn't just a loop as well. There's variations. So the longer you let this play while you're filming, like, you're not hearing the same performance every loop. So let's go back to that. Film So what's about to happen, you know, you can keep filming if you want to, but this is the point where you've hit your objectives, and so you can say that's a wrap, right, with that option right there. And when you do that, it goes into a cinematic, which ends the scene. But you know, they're at any point on this big loop of music. I'm going to jump over to Wwise for a second here.
Yep.
Can you see it? Wait, I have
almost.
Okay, here we go. So that is going to be in diegetic.
Good to see folks in the chat. Guido's with us. Great drum machine, thanks. Or is it a Wwise sequencer? I was going to say a wait drum machine.
Definitely inspired by. Yeah.
So I guess
so there you can see Canon, Synthwave, Jungle, and Synths. Those are sort of our 4 sample banks, very roughly named. And then inside of here is all of it. So here's the drum machine stuff, and you can actually see here's the casual guitar performance that goes. So here's the drum machine layers, and then down here is guitar, sort of very manually synced up, so that when she's jamming to the drum machine, she's actually on beat. Very important.
Cool.
And then we transition over to this free play system. This is where we are right now, where this is just an endless loop of variations.
Got it.
And then the cinematic. So when we go into the cinematic, it's linear and it has to match the cinematic, obviously. This is unlike the stuff where we had the audio driving the animation. The scene was fully recorded. We had actually Nora Kelly on set. They had guitar and bass, and they were doing their mocap, and they're just doing their very best to hit the motions when we did that cinematic. So it was all about like how to make sure that we get into the cinematic with the correct timing when you could be anywhere in this loop.
Yeah.
And so the way that we decided we were going to do this is that in game or in Unreal, we have a looping cinematic clip. It's actually, in this case, we use this technique a few times in the game, but in this clip, it's Kat. She's the one with the ponytail, the blonde one with the ponytail. She's nodding her head to the beat, and that's a loop. That plays until we're at the right moment in the music to trigger the cinematic. And so I think I'm trying to remember if we have markers in here. Yeah. So there's markers every 2 measures, I think it is. And this is just any of these moments, it makes sense to go directly into, I think it's like the bridge of the song or something that we have for the cinematic. So we're just waiting for one of these moments. Kat bobs her head, and then poof, we start the cinematic, and it feels seamless. So let's watch that happen live.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back into the game. I should also mention that this very cool tech that we used for this game is not foolproof. There's like a 1 in 500 chance that really, like, it's like very, very, very difficult to reproduce, but there's a very, very small chance that we end up in the loop forever, or that the second piece of music doesn't start, and we never were able to fix that. It's rare, but unfortunately it still happens sometimes. So hopefully it doesn't happen now. And obviously the VO is still muted, but that's that.
Amazing.
So-
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so let's pull back for a second. So we've got the drum machines running. We saw the segment in the music system. You had all those custom cues in place. You've got the different instrument sets that switch in and out depending on which set it is. And then that critical piece where you transition into the cutscene, you're getting some kind of a music callback maybe that's
Yep, exactly.
that's getting sent off to the game in order to move forward that progression, trigger that cinematic, and keep everything moving.
Yeah, exactly. We worked very closely with the Sin team to make that work.
Yeah.
I think we use that technique 1 or 2 other places in the game, and it's always in the others. This is the only case I think where we're using it for, maybe we use it in the performance too. So maybe we use it the second time that you're performing the song as well.
Sure.
And then there's a couple places where we're using it to drive the score forward, where we have the score playing with like an exploration loop,
Yeah.
and then we're moving seamlessly into sort of a establishing shot or ending scene cinematic, and we wanted that score to move forward seamlessly.
Yeah.
So-
And it all stays in sync because you are pushing it from the music system, which is that sync.
Yeah, so there's always this little,
Yep.
there's a little cinematic that's like a placeholder loop
Yeah.
of, a landscape or whatever it is, and then
Yep.
everything, the whole system is just waiting for that music cue and to move forward into the main scene. Yeah.
Okay, and let me just clear the air on here. When we see cinematic, we're really saying in-game cinematic, right? Because all of the assets are in-game. You're not triggering a video file.
No, you're right. Yeah, it is an in-game cinematic.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because again, I just wanted to make sure we're clear. And I think that that's one of the things that is so great about this game is how seamlessly you transition between these different modes of experience, whether you're, as we saw, hands-on with the drum machine, whether you're navigating the space, whether you're video recording, or then part of an in-game cinematic. It all just seamlessly flows because it's all runtime in-game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
exactly. We have
awesome.
a few pre-rendered cinematics in the second episode, but I don't think you can tell the difference as a player. It's all
Sure.
it's meant to be very invisible, obviously. So.
Cool. Yeah, that's great stuff. I like it. Yeah, the drum machine. What a great way to anchor synchronicity, to give player agency. Just a ton of creativity in there. Fun to hear your voice. Fun to have you at the heart of that. Super cool.
Before I jump into the next topic, I just wanted to show a little bit how we did our ambiences. Are there any questions or anything that people might want to have?
Well, we were talking about, some questions around how to make everything on sync. I think we checked that box. There was a question about, did you have much touch points with the Unreal side of this system setup, or was that handled by the cinematics team?
Yeah, very much SynSide programmers were also involved. This was a pretty complex feature, so there was a lot of iteration and there was a lot of close interdepartmental communication to make it work
Yeah.
fully. It was an ambitious idea, and it was very exciting when it worked.
Well, and like you said, like a deep collaboration, and again, the payoff is so clear historically speaking from what .NOD is good at, and that's making sure that your decisions have I won't say consequences, but they ripple outward, and that you continue to
All your decisions absolutely have consequences. Yeah.
okay exactly. So yeah, there's Elena says that they like how you organize the Wise project. There's a couple of exclamation points next to, oh my God, the cues in those segments. Good to have folks out there with us during this conversation. Keep the questions coming, and we'll dot them in where we can. And with that said, let's move forward.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting
So-
a music callback. Move forward.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we did the ambiences. No groundbreaking new features or anything here, but maybe of interest to folks. I'm gonna close Reaper, save a little resources
Yep.
on my end.
It's great. Technology seems like it's holding up for us today.
So far, so good. I don't think I need the build anymore, but I'll leave it open just in case. And actually, what I really want to do is go into Unreal. So let me
Cool.
just get a scene loading up in the back end here. So a little breakdown. One of the sort of core aesthetic approaches we decided on pretty early in development for Bloom and Rage is that we were going to have really almost entirely point source ambiences. Because you're moving around in this environment is so exploratory. I really wanted to take advantage of just a very live, like a live environment. It takes place in a small town. There's a lot of environments that are in nature. It calls back to my nostalgia personally. I grew up in the Midwest. I spent a lot of my childhoods out on a farm, and I just wanted to as closely as possible replicate that sense. I love ambiences. I know some people relegate them to the newbies or whatever, but like I'm all in. I'm making ambiences with the rest of my team because I love ambiences. And I just wanted them to be very rich and changing and alive. And so we decided to go with point source assets. Really, really, really early in my career, I was cold emailing sound designers who worked on projects I thought were cool on LinkedIn, like way back. And somebody responded, and he had worked on the ambiences on Red Dead. And he's Joe Cavers, really nice dude. We still talk sometimes. And he told me this is what they did, and it kind of changed my perspective on ambiences a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have to give credit where credit is due. It's not my idea, but I love doing it when I can. So
Amazing. Huge shout out to Joe. Yeah, that's great.
Joe, that's great.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Saw him last fall. So great to have him in the community still. That's fantastic. Yeah,
Okay,
point
I'm just waiting
source
for the level
ambiences,
delay
right?
on it.
You get the positionality of it. It's tunable. Let's just talk about soaking in ambiences when you're designing a space. Like, is there anything more meditative in as part of a sound design workflow than placing ambiences, tuning, fine tuning, getting those attenuations and spread. Yeah,
Just
just
feeling the space and making it just, yeah, like alive.
yeah,
And oh, I mean, this is very obvious, say for, the forest environment, which is what I'm loading up in Unreal right
yeah,
now, but also like the parking lot that we saw earlier, the movie palace parking lot.
yeah,
I spent a lot of time just giving that just the sense of small town life. Like you can hear somebody, working on woodwork 2 blocks away, and you can hear kids playing down the street. And even though the game lacks NPCs, like we don't have, generic people walking around
right.
at all in these environments, which also makes sense for the fact that these are memories, not real spaces. But we fill that back in a little bit with the audio. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Again, care and detail. These are this sets the mood, it sets the tone, it sets the intention so clearly. And now, so and maybe we're foreshadowing here a little bit, but how were you thinking about ambiences in the context of present versus past? Like, was there a lot of care and handling there to how you approached
yeah,
ambience
so we
across
use the
those?
same sort of core intention that the past is special rose-colored glasses, a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of that super reality, and then the present is cold and it's present. So, we got the room tones in the present, we got the electric light buzzes, and we just tried to stay very realistic with all of the present ambiences. Whereas in the past, we got to play a little bit more. So, for example,
Interesting.
the environment I'm about to load up. Some of the bird sounds have delay on them. And there's just a little bit of magic in the sound. Even though it's fairly realistic, again,
Sure.
it's like you can just add a little bit of extra to make it feel warm and alive and just a little bit magical. Yeah.
I love that technique of reaching for delay or some modulation, whatever suits it in order to kind of slightly elevate it from that reality that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Can I do with that?
Bring it a little bit further. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so I shared Unreal. I have the level loaded up. It's really big level, so it took a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm going to unmute this. So maybe at the end, after I show us around a little bit, I'll play the beginning of it and you can hear the ambiences a bit. Huge level. So this is one of the biggest levels in the game. We go back into this level a number of times in the game. And I just wanted to show some of the ambience layers. So,
Amazing.
so these are sort of special. These got unorganized, but for the most part, everything's pretty clean.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of stuff. So subfolders, I just wanted to close a few subfolders. So we have there's a river that runs right through this environment. So just point source water sounds. You can kind of see where the river is. It's like this.
Yep.
Even for the water, so we have distant water sounds that are a little wider, and then we have really small attenuation water sounds where you go right up and you can hear the little lapping of the waves and things like that. And then we also have a ton of these bushes, which you can already see they're like separated by area, and there's so many of them.
Right.
And these are triggered. So you can see they're labeled SFX, not
Yep.
AMB. These are like you walk through a bush and it goes,
Oh,
right.
awesome.
And these are all, we recorded all of these ourselves. Like I'd say most of the ambiences in the game are recorded. We spent a lot of time field recording We got an MS mic set up, and we have a lot of recordings from Saskatchewan, from Montreal, from Paris as well, from outside of Paris, from Lyon,
Yeah.
where the other sound designer Julian is from originally, and we did a lot of recording, especially early in production.
That's great. So
So
these little one shots are triggered when you clip through a bush or brush past it. In some way, it's got
Exactly.
maybe a little trigger sphere volume that
Yeah, there's hundreds of them.
fires that off.
So, yeah.
And this might be a little too deep, but help me out. Like when you're recording the sounds that you're going to feed to this, how much are you thinking about the position of where you're recording it in the context of like where the player who is brushing against that bush, are you close miking that bush, or are you
No.
getting some of that perspective that you would have if you were
A
actually
little bit.
walking
Yeah, I mean,
past
close mic is not gonna hit the right, acoustic
them? Yeah,
shape, obviously.
Right.
But it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like it had to be down here with the mic is here, but we tried to keep it like a meter distance just
okay.
to keep that tonality right, the balance.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just throwing it back to an anecdote I heard once about the difference in miking footsteps,
Oh yeah.
right at the heel and toe versus where someone would hear their footstep if they were walking, and kind of this kind of design choice on how you modulate it from that first decision of where to put the mic.
Definitely. I mean, if you're close miking, you have to do a lot more EQ work in the DAW to make it sound right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about how quiet your environment is too, right? Like how far can you get away with?
Interesting.
How quietly are you stepping? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
So not counting the bushes, not counting the water emitters, which are also ambient emitters, there is 113 point source ambiances in this scene. You can see. I mean, it's a mess. There's so many of them that I can't even move around the level. It wasn't letting me there. So some of them are really big. These are all wind. Like this is just wind gusts here. This section here, this is just wind.
Cool.
And then of course we have leaves moving in trees, and we have creatures. We also have like at some point, let's see, where is this? We have separated the level to before bridge and after bridge, because there's a checkpoint at the bridge, so you're exploring a lot before the bridge. So this is all of the sort of birds that you can hear moving around the level before the bridge, and then there's a bunch of birds after the bridge, which is a smaller area that you are moving through sort of at the end of the scene. And then in addition to all of these point sources, there's also another little feature I wanted to talk about in the game.
I got a question though before we move on to that. So again, we've got these bushes. These are one shots. They're triggered when you walk through them. We're seeing a ton of other emitters here. Some of them are looping. Some of them are turning on and off based on proximity. Like, how did you organize all of the different ways that these play?
So they're all looping.
Okay.
The ambience point sources.
Yeah.
And they're all turned on and off by proximity. Both.
Got it.
Not counting the bush, because the bush is just like a one shot, right?
Okay.
But in terms of like the ambience emitters, like obviously the animal ones, they're looping as a random container, so there's going to be delays and pauses and silences as well. Same with like rustling leaves, like it's not like nonstop.
Yeah.
But you can see this double circle, so this is sort of a custom version of the AK3D emitter.
Yep.
Where we have separate control over the attenuation range, obviously, but then the red circle is the start and stop.
Great.
So when you enter that, the sound triggers, and when you exit that, it actually kills the entire loop. And that helps a lot.
So thank you for breaking that down. Again, I think it's such a great technique to leverage, especially in this case, but you want to make sure that, you're saving resources by not just like toggling everything on YOLO, but like, making sure that you're managing those resources hearing only the things that you need to be hearing. It's almost like a kind of first level prioritization. Like I shouldn't be spending these resources if I can't hear them in the first place. So toggling
Absolutely.
those on
I mean,
and
virtual
off.
voice still takes a little bit, and it's easy enough to just kill the sound. If you're outside of the attenuation range anyway, then you don't need it, right?
That's it. Cool.
Um,
Thanks.
yeah, so that's basically it. Some of them you can see that we even trigger them when you're inside of the attenuation range, so that it's nice to have the custom control.
Yeah.
If that happens, it doesn't just like start, it has a fade in, obviously. So
Yep.
just gentle.
Great.
But yeah, so I wanted to talk about birds. Obviously, we have a lot of different kinds of birds that you can hear in the environment. But in addition to these just ambient point sources, there's actually also one of the collectibles that you can capture with your camcorder is you birdwatch. I can't remember how many, maybe there's like 10. Let me look Wise here. But there's here, I can share Wise. We can take a look at this together. I think they're in SFX. Objects, I'm gonna say nature. There they are. So 18. There's 18 birds that you can find in the game.
Great.
So I love Red Dead. Like I know I mentioned it earlier. I think the sound in Red Dead is incredible. And one of the few beefs I have with the sound in Red Dead is that there's this whole sub game of looking for birds in the game, in case of Red Dead, to kill them, not, photograph them. But nonetheless, you're hunting for songbirds, and those songbirds don't sing. You can't find them by sound. So it's already hard enough to find them sometimes, but you can't use audio to find them. And as far as I've been able to tell, at least.
Right.
And so we very consciously did that differently. Every songbird that you have to find sings, or not just songbird, all of them, there's also seagulls and Canada goose and things like that, but they all have emitters, and they are louder. They are distinctly louder than the ambient point sources. So if you're auditorily inclined, you can use sound to find those birds.
Amazing. Let's hear some of them since you have them queued up right there.
Thing.
I want to hear the Canada goose.
Okay, let's give it a listen. Wait, yeah, this is one of those where I have to like.
Oh yeah, set all the magic buttons.
Let's see if I can remember which one.
Okay.
Oh, see, this is not going to help at all. Have that pin. I'm like, this doesn't look right. Okay, so I think this. No. Let's pop over here.
This is improvisational request here, folks. Stand by.
Oh, classic though.
We got to hear this
always
Canada
like
goose.
I even knew you were gonna ask, and I was like, I had it ready. I'm like, okay, these are the settings I need, and already,
Yeah.
it could be time of day, because that's another thing. Is time of day affects what you can hear.
Right.
Menu open. That's probably what's doing this to us.
I wonder if there's anything up on the blend container.
Well, we can always use our profiler to find out what's missing.
Wow.
We'll play this sound that we're not hearing at all. Goodness gracious, where is it? Well, that's not very helpful.
Are we still pinned? No, we're not pinned. Okay.
I think something might be crashing.
Okay.
Okay. It's not listening to me.
We've got
Yes.
a 10-second delay for a transition.
Something's going on.
Yeah.
It won't let me stop the sound. That's quite interesting. So maybe it's not me. Maybe something.
Okay, I take full responsibility for that request and its failure.
No. It's a valid request, but wow. Yeah, I'm gonna reopen.
Yep. Okay. I think restart the whole
I think something
project.
broke. Definitely.
We'll pretend like that didn't happen, and it's all good. Again, we're having fun here, and again, I think there's, for me, the having those birds be emitters and pervasive is a fantastic feature in itself. What I really like is that it came from your dissatisfaction with how it was presented in another game, and I think that's okay. I think that, you know, that clearly wasn't the priority for Red Dead, or
Yeah,
the
obviously.
resources.
Okay, now it works.
Okay, cool. But I love that it could have inspired you in the future to reach for this as a value for the game. Okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely, right? I mean, it's one of those things where what you do colors how you see the world. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a filmmaker, you can't watch a movie and not break it down. Like, how did they do that? And, oh, you know.
Yeah. Why can I not locate these birds with my ears?
Yeah.
Oh, if I ever have the chance to do that, I'm gonna fix it.
Definitely. Exactly. Exactly. Here we can listen to the goose now.
Okay.
Wait.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
We may even have grabbed this from a real recording. I can't remember, but
Cool.
you know, these are pervasive here, obviously.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. Anyone else want to hear a bird while we're in here? You know, actually, there's shout outs from the chat. Live troubleshooting. We can relate. You know, it's part of development. So, yeah.
So fun fact, of all of these different birds,
Yeah.
we really aimed to get authentic sounds of each of these birds. And we succeeded in 17/18 of the cases. Some of them really took some digging.
Oh.
Some of these birds just don't exist in sound libraries, at least not in a labeled way.
Right.
These are all very local to the environment where the game takes place. The tufted titmouse took a long time, but we did eventually find one.
Amazing.
But we never found the red-headed woodpecker.
Oh.
It turns out this is actually, I only learned this like a month ago. I was at a natural history museum in Saskatchewan, and I learned that this bird is endangered. Maybe that's why. We could not find a recording of the red-headed woodpecker that we were able to license. Like, there were recordings on YouTube, but we can't
Sure.
just steal sounds from YouTube, obviously.
Right.
I actually even reached out to some bird watchers on YouTube who had videos, but nobody got back to me. And I think this might be like a red-bellied woodpecker or something, but we could not find.
Wow. I thought you were going to say you used Woody Woodpecker. That kind of
Fun little
would
Easter egg. No.
could have been fun. Wow. Nice work. And again, as you said, regional to where the game takes place. So a lot of care and detail to make sure you weren't surfacing, you know.
There's actually a poster in Swan's bedroom of all of these birds. It's like it's not a photograph. It's like one of those classic, you know, birds of you know.
Yeah.
And there's drawings of every single one of these possible birds that you can find. So there's a lot of detail.
Amazing.
For little details like that in the game. Yeah.
Okay, question coming in. Do you use any ambisonics for sound effects or surrounds? Did you experiment with it at all, or thoughts?
We did experiment with it. What I found with ambisonics, at least in the experiments that I did, is that even though it shifts with the direction you're facing, because it's a single sound file, it's just not as alive as I needed it to be. I found I got much more realistic results using a whole bunch of point sources that were really clear. Like, this is a tree, and here's some leaves, and there's going to be birds over there, and obviously we have big ones too that are semi-positional, like winds and, you know, crickets in some places and things like that. But it just felt better to me than the ambisonics that I used.
Well, and I love, this is a game that leans into feelings, and so trusting your feelings and finding the right fit for it makes total sense. There was a piece of this that I wonder if is still preserved over our conversations these years. Audio objects.
Yes, we did use audio. We used audio objects in this game.
Yeah.
Um,
What was the methodology or the mentality? How did it end up working for you?
Trying to remember exactly how we had it set up. I think if we go into SFX, maybe, yeah, so we have a sub bus for audio
Yeah.
objects. We chose to use just really specific things that we wanted to highlight to
Cool.
send to audio objects. So for example, you have like a not Tamagotchi, right? Because that's a trademark that you play with in the game,
Sure.
or like the boom box.
Yep.
So there's sort of certain specific things that we felt would be effective as audio objects, but we tried to use that in a limited way, not to overbear the system. Yeah,
Perfect.
this is the first project that I used audio objects on. I thought it worked pretty well. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And again, you're just hand selecting the ones that
Mhm.
you preserve through the pipeline to arrive as audio objects. And I think that's a great way to approach it conservatively. Yeah.
I think, yeah, all VO was audio objects as well. So
Ah,
that's also why is we wanted to save that pipe for the VO as much as possible.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Question coming in from Guido. Did you ever consider recreating problematic birds using synthesizers? Maybe
We
a
thought
custom
about it.
plugin? Yeah.
This was quite late in production though. We experimented a little bit,
Yeah.
but I think we just weren't at the point in production where we had the time
Yeah.
for that kind of rebuilding. It is something that we explored the possibility of, but in the end,
Yeah.
we decided against it. It was just too time consuming, and we were crunching already by this point. We were very close to release, trying to find those last few birds. So
Right. Last ditch attempt would have been just impersonating the bird yourself, I think.
yeah, songbirds are tough.
A little pitch
Yeah.
shift, a little, well, magic. Cool.
Yeah, but I think using a red-bellied woodpecker in lieu of a red-headed woodpecker is probably going to get us a little closer to the mark. So,
Nice. Nice. Okay. Nice. Love what you did there with the ambiances. And I think, again, showing those examples, the reasons behind it, and managing those resources smart. Really cool. Really cool. We got one more in the bag.
one more question?
Were we going to talk about the VO system
Yes.
at all? Yeah.
Yes.
So
The last thing I wanted to talk about, we had a really interesting pipeline for
Yeah.
VO. So I wanted to share that. Before we dive into that, can we do a 5-minute bio break?
Oh, heck yeah. We're going to go on a break for a second, folks. I'm going to throw up the splash screen. We'll see you back in 5. We'll count it down.
All right.
All right, welcome back. This is Wise Up on Air. We're talking Bloom and Rage. I'm here with Beatrix. Say your last name.
Moersch.
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 Yeah. Moersch. Yeah. Cool. Great to be here with you. Again, we've gone through a ton of great features that are part of the audio music. And now let's talk a little bit about voice design in Bloom and Rage.
So really the VO pipe
Great.
it was an interesting setup, and it worked out really well for us for the most part, which I can get into as well. So the basic breakdown of our pipe was as follows. We have writing tools, narrative branching, node-based writing tools right inside of Unreal, which we developed while we developed the game, actually. We started with a tool that's used by Don't Nod Paris, and we transitioned to this new custom tool that our programmers built for us while we were in development. And it looks like this. I think let me see if I'm sharing. Nope, let me pop over to, it's an Unreal window. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it if I share Unreal proper or if I
I
have
can
to
see
share
it. Dialog collection.
Yes, great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like. I mean, usually the dialogue branches are much bigger and more elaborate. But I just grabbed this simple one because I'm going to edit it live to kind of show you the process.
Cool.
So this is what the writers use. I'm not working too much directly in here, except for one thing, which I will show as well. So, you know, the dialogue segment gets triggered, and then we have whatever silence, whatever, and then we have this dialogue that happens. In this case, it's between two characters, the bartender and one of the NPCs. They're having a little conversation. And this is just sort of background. This is a really small, minor dialogue asset, I guess you could call it, that I grabbed for demonstrative purposes. So for starters, I'm just going to trigger it in a test level to show you what it sounds like. And this is with recorded VO.
Hey, did you hear that Trailside's owner was thinking of selling?
Yeah, I heard that rumor. But they had a lean year, what with the shutdowns and all.
Yep, but now I hear the guy's son started running the show, and he's got a good head on his shoulder.
Okay, so that's the dialogue.
Cool.
And now I'm going to edit it. So this is just me demonstrating sort of the pipeline, the process. So we're in development. Nara has written some dialogue for some scenes, for some characters, and now they're going to iterate on that. They want to integrate some feedback, whatever it is, add branches. So they're going to change the dialogue. So they go in and maybe they're saying, did you hear they decided maybe this should be actually the what do you call it? The scooper? I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the ice cream place. Did you hear that the scooper owner was thinking? So they changed it, right? They're going to change it. Now we get some really valuable warnings that are coming in if we already have recorded VO. Are you sure that you want to do this? Are you really sure? Are you not just fixing a typo? No, we do want to auto reset the audio status. So we're going to hit no. And then it's like, are you really, really sure this is going to cost money? Because now we have to re-record the VO, right? So very, very important that everybody is fully aware of the consequences of this action. Okay, so I changed the dialogue a little bit. And normally this next step is automatic, but because we've locked production on this game, it's not in active development anymore, obviously. So I have to manually go ahead and regenerate the queue. Normally that doesn't have to happen.
Yep.
And now I'm going to re-trigger it, and we're not going to hear that first line because it's actively fetching TTS. So it's silent. I think at some point we're going to go into...
Yeah, I heard that rumor.
There we go. So we didn't hear that dialogue line, and that's because TTS, text-to-speech AI voice, was being fetched. And I'm going to trigger it once more time. Now we're going to hear an AI voice reading that line.
Did you hear that scooper owner was thinking of selling?
Yeah, I heard that rumor.
So basically what this pipe means is that Nara can hear their changes right away in game. They can update the dialogue, they can update the writing anywhere that they need to, and right away we're going to get this placeholder VO populating and filling in that space. So they get to hear the changes in game.
Yeah, because
and then
until you get it in context, until you get it, up against another line, you're just reading text on the page and hearing your own voice in your head, right? So
Right.
this gives them a tool to audition how that
you can actually
sounds.
play in game, you're
Yeah.
jumping into the game, you're playing the scene, and it's automatically updating to your changes.
Amazing.
It's also automatically changing the status. The writing status changes. It tells you whether it's TTS or recorded audio and so on and so forth.
Right.
And also it's dynamically jumping over from an in-game, or sorry, an in-Wwise VO line that's already in the Wwise hierarchy,
Yep.
and it's flipping over to Wwise input plugin to trigger these lines. And then the way the pipe works is the next time we do a VO sync with Wwise, we're fetching that TTS line, and then it's getting populated into our Wwise hierarchy. And that is really good for things like mixing and positioning and things like that. So I'll just go over into Wwise and share that.
Great.
Let's close all this. And all right, so here is our VO hierarchy, and here's all the bartender lines broken into subscenes and so on. And so basically that line, the next time we do that VO sync with Wwise, is going to overwrite the recorded VO and replace it with that new updated dialogue that is now Wwise TTS.
Great. So it renders the text to speech after it's been excessively okayed.
Well, it renders the text to speech instantly.
Yeah. And then
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once there's recorded VO, yeah.
Exactly. And then it gets routed through an audio input plugin, as an interim. So
Yep.
streamed as an audio file through the audio input plugin because it hasn't gotten copied over its location in the hierarchy, which is a post
and that can be
process.
submitted. So anybody else who's getting lace changes, they would also hear that same TTS line via Wwise input plugin.
Perfect.
So that lets us route it through its like top VO hierarchy in Wwise.
Yeah.
But it's not getting sort of submixed. And then the next time we do the VO sync, now we're actually fetching that TTS line, replacing the recorded VO in that audio event. And now we have turned off Wwise audio link again, and now we're routing it as if it was, well, now that it is actually part of our VO hierarchy.
Perfect. Yeah. That makes perfect sense to me. And I know folks out there, we've got some comments about, this being a great Dialog 101 kind of presentation. And, wow, what a workflow. Just again, I think.
Oh, it gets cooler from there. So
Well, let's
because of
keep
all
going.
the automatic statuses
Yeah.
that are being set when the writers write something or something gets verified, whatever, which is that the next time we have a big VO recording session, we can grab that character, say the bartender, we can get all of that verified TTS in Wwise or dynamic TTS. It doesn't have to be synced with Wwise.
Yep.
And that gets populated into a script. And it's like, here are the lines that are now TTS or TTS again. These are the lines that need to be recorded in this VO recording session. So
Cool.
then that VO gets recorded with the actor. We didn't do the recording internally. We were working with Game On. So Game On did all of our VO recording and motion capture. And they submitted back final edited files with these GUIDs, these very, very important code numbers here.
Right.
That the entire system relies on. So we would receive that back. We would take those delivered audio files and put them into a central final VO folder on the server. And then we would do an import in Unreal, which would auto grab any files that had like a new timestamp that had changed and overwrite that TTS and import it and basically update all of those files based on like newest timestamp.
Amazing. Okay, and so picking apart a little bit, so we've got this sound voice object. It's got the explicit GUID that ties it to the line over in Unreal. How does it get put into its parent, or how does that parent get named? Is that derived from?
This whole structure was auto-created.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
So
Yep.
this entire, I do not touch this VO hierarchy at
Yeah.
all. I'm just doing a Wwise sync and it's getting populated
Yeah.
based on a pre-decided hierarchy
Yeah.
and then based on the narrative, the assets, these, I can't just pop over to Unreal, but like
Yeah.
those little green, those assets, those are deciding the hierarchy basically. And this is all
Amazing.
getting auto-populated.
Amazing.
So just like when I did a Wwise sync or a VO sync with Unreal and I got those TTS files, I'm doing a VO sync and now I'm getting the recorded VO. And as far as I'm concerned, like it makes no difference inside the Wwise hierarchy. I'm basically just getting the latest version of that VO.
Perfect, perfect. I think we answered one of the questions that was in the chat about, lines that are new and how those make their way into the pipeline.
Yeah.
Question coming in: why an actor mixer per sound voice?
Oh, well, so this is just because it's the bartender. It's actually per like scene. These are special because they're barks. This is not a typical
Gotcha.
breakdown. So Autumn is one of the main characters. This is a more ideal example. In this case, those were barks. So they're
Yep.
all, it's like the actor mixer is per narrative asset.
Got it.
So the barks are like random
Yep.
triggers by the game engine. But here you can see it's a little cleaner. So this is Autumn Past. It's by scene.
I see. And the actor
Yeah.
mixer has significance because it helps
Again,
with...
these are barks.
Yeah.
It's because it's by narrative. Yeah.
Got it. Right.
So it's funny because these examples are showing a lot of little ones, but for the most part, they're not like that.
Cool. All right. And that just helps with organization or structure. It doesn't...
Yeah, though I will say, like on our new totally unannounced project I can't talk about, we have changed this structure to be much more scene-based and
Sure.
less character-based. One of the reasons that we broke down the VO structure by character here was because we wanted to have control over like global EQ for different characters. We were
Yeah.
still early in the production process, really playing around with how to distinguish the sound of the characters when they're young versus when they're older.
Yep.
And global EQing was one of the options that we played around with. And in the end, the casting, like the actors did such a good job of just adjusting their tone that we didn't really need to do anything in terms of processing. But that's one of the reasons that we made this decision.
Cool. Well, and again, I love that that you can make these decisions about organization and, use or not use them. They still, allow you to get there with what you have in place. Yeah, it's great stuff.
I'm wondering if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Let me check my notes quick.
Sure. This is it, folks, in the chat. If you have questions, get them in, and we'll circle around to them. What did you find?
Okay, so there was two more things I wanted to talk about. One of them was I've been talking about like the ideal workflow pipe. It was really useful for NARA because they could iterate on the fly, and anything that we were doing on the audio side was basically invisible to them. While at the same time, we on the audio side had the control of grabbing those latest assets whenever we wanted them for doing mixed passes and things like that. So theoretically, really great workflow, really great pipeline. The only issue I had with all this was that we were working in Wwise 2021. By the time we wanted to upgrade, it was too far into production basically to do that. And we got stuck with some of the bugs that 2021 has. We were using event-based packaging. And basically what happened is, especially later in development, when we were working with tens of thousands of VO assets, especially once we had our second language in, we were having these, how do I put it, like clogs of redirectors where things were just not updating, and we were having serious problems with perforce
Yeah.
updates, and the whole sync was just breaking
Yeah.
not infrequently because of redirector issues.
Yep.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
So that was the downside of this
you
system.
lived through our growing pains as we were reaching for an automatic asset management system that did arrive as part of auto-defined sound banks, a feature of Wwise at the sound bank level, but in 21.1 was our first attempt at it, and yeah, flawed for sure. And so it's I'm sorry you had to suffer through that. It had that touch something and a million things light up that had been touched, and it definitely drove us towards a better solution. So I'm thankful for where we arrived, and also sad for the suffering that it caused in its wake. So in the future, future going to be much brighter for you. I can't wait for you to feel the frictionless asset management pipeline of auto-defined sound banks. Cool.
Absolutely. I mean, the concept makes a ton of sense to me. I love it. I mean, obviously that's why I was like, yeah, event-based packaging. And then, unfortunately, it was quite a problem at times.
Yeah. So again, thanks for surfacing it. And you were one of many folks who did surface it when we came out of the gate and we were able to react to that feedback.
Yes. Yeah. And we are using the auto-defined sound banks on the new project, and I'm full on there to embrace the new system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about, I don't even know what I'm sharing anymore. Wwise. Okay. So I'm going to jump back into Unreal.
Okay.
The last thing I wanted to talk about is just a little feature of the Dialog tool that we used that I really, really, really loved. I talked about this a little bit, I think, on the podcast as well. It's just beautiful from an audio perspective.
Okay.
And it is events triggered by Dialog. Sounds simple in concept, but not something I've had the opportunity to work with before. These little lightning bolts here, that's what they are. So anybody, and this wasn't just used by audio, this was also used by game level designers, the VFX team, everybody. So you can just grab any chunk of dialogue, unless it's in a cinematic, in which case the integration is different. And then you go over into the details panel and you create an action event. And you can decide whether that event triggers when the node is finished, i.e. when the dialogue has finished being played, or when the node triggers. And then this is just an event. You name the event whatever you want. This is a game design one. All the audio ones I think started with SD. And then you just grab that in your level blueprint and do whatever you want with it. So we use these extensively all over the game to trigger custom dynamic music shifts, sound effects, but especially music. Like, it really allowed us to really key in and fine tune the music transitions to match the emotional shifts of the choices that you make. Because it's also really easy to go in and be, have different effects according to branching. Yeah, I think these specific ones are coming from the game design team. But action events, such a simple concept, but like so incredibly empowering. And once they introduced this feature for us, we almost entirely were able to stop poking game designers trying to get triggers or hooks into things that were happening, and just we triggered so much via these once we had access to them.
Right, because you're talking about branching dialogue moments. So, multiple responses, each of them could have a different emotional outcome, let's say, and you want to use that emotion to set a state over in the music system to transition to something that reinforces whatever that decision was, or to, fire off a sound effect that, again, reinforces whatever the outcome of that decision tree is.
Yeah, and also because it's a narrative game, much of the game action and plot is being driven by narration, by dialogue. So, in a previous workflow, the dialogue would have been triggering game events, and then we would have been working with the game events. We would have been working with these predefined sort of checkpoints that the game designers integrated,
Mm,
and we got to sort of bypass that entirely and work with the source,
amazing.
which was wonderful. Yeah.
A- And there's the elegance of both the dialogue system and this event system for dialogue is just how it gives you what you need without having to manually make decisions about whether you need it or not. It's just there for you if you need it.
It's really empowering. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, and honestly, like our integration workflow was so much faster after this as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. I love it. And if there's one thing I love, it's automating pipelines and getting you what you need to make those creative decisions. And you really have arrived with this game, and something that resulted in such a direct coupling of the gameplay and the sound. And again, I think you get the best results from that when you have these kind of systems in place that give you what you need to make those creative decisions. So congratulations on this project. What a cool overview. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it was interesting and useful.
Oh, super useful and interesting. Dig back into the audio logs with the wider audio team behind Bloom and Rage. I know there's also a deep dive with Akash the Car and yourself talking about the longer road that you've taken between indie and AAA development over the course of your career. So worth putting that link in the chat so that we can get folks over to hear more from you on that. And again, I'll circle back to what a gift to have the continuity here on Wise Up on Air, stretching all the way back to some of our first couple episodes. You've always been a giving spirit and up for anything. And and today has
Well,
been,
thank you so much for having me back.
yeah, a great example of that. So thanks so much for your time, Beatrix.
My pleasure.
All right. And see you soon again in Montreal, I hope.
I hope so. Yeah.
And this has been Wise Up on Air. Thanks so much. Take care, folks.